Hello guys, this is Martin Jentek from Tecanica, and today we're super happy to announce the fourth incarnation of our EOS Factory smart contract testing and deployment platform, codenamed 2.0. It's only been a few weeks since our last release, but it feels like a year or something. Things move so friggin' fast in this here business that it kind of warps the space-time continuum and messes with our heads. So what are the new features? First of all, we have full compatibility with the production version of EOS. This is kind of a no-brainer. Of course, it had to be there. But here's a big one. So drumroll, dum-da-da-dum. We have seamless integration with public testnets. So from now on, you can work with Jungle or Crypto Kyln. These two we have tested EOSFactory with, and it works very well. You have the resource management included, so you can see how much memory and CPU and all these things your smart contracts require and burn in real action. So we think this is very handy, as you can test it there also. There's a radically improved mechanism for mapping of the random account names into human-friendly aliases. Including symbolic translation of EOS logger messages, and this is a big step forward. So because from now on you can work with names like Bob and Alice in your contracts, as opposed to the 12-character EOS account names that are very hard to decipher, especially when there's a few more actors in your contract, and it's really confusing. There's a new mechanism for caching of the public testnet settings. The developer API has been reduced to less than 20 basic commands and classes, so there's not a lot to learn to get you started. And also there's a radically improved logger messaging, including highly customizable verbosity, so you can tell EOSFactory how much info you want in your logs. So we're going to talk you through an example of how to interface with a public testnet in a second, and we hope to hear from you any kind of feedback, what is needed or missing, or what you would like to see in the next version. And especially from developers, as you might have noticed, Tecanica as a blog producer is very focused on the development part of EOS, and we think this is the way forward to make it as easy and cheap as possible to develop stuff, because otherwise there won't be much to talk about. And so, cutting to the chase, here's the example. So bear with me. So now we're going to demonstrate how to use EOSFactory with a public testnet like Kyln. So first, we need to register the public testnet with EOSFactory. So there's a special script that automates this process. So here's the syntax. What we need to supply is the faucet URL, because we're going to need that to fuel the accounts with the tokens, and also an API endpoint URL. So we used Aloha. Thumbs up to you guys. We think we're great. And the last bit is my Kyln is the custom name for the testnet that we give for the EOSFactory to reference. So here you see that the account has been created and has been funded with tokens in the faucet. We have now our configuration, which is safe for future use, and here you can check that this account exists, and it's also funded with 200 EOS. So now we can use EOSFactory to create a new smart contract project. So we'll give it a name. In this case, let's call it foobar. And we'll use a template from which it will be cloned. In this case, it's going to be 03 tic-tac-toe. And also the last parameter is a flag that launches Visual Studio Code. So this is how we're going to interface with the contract through Visual Studio Code. It's not the only way, but we use that one. So as expected, it's launched, and you can see the smart contract source code and also Over here, there's the unit test. That's right. And also the CMake file managing the build process. So let's go ahead and let's build a smart contract using CMake. First, we need to switch to the build folder and then just type CMake, and the project's now being configured. And now we're ready to do the actual build. So now you can see the output of the build process. It's about to show up on the screen. So that's it. So that's the ABI file and also the WAS file that are ready to be deployed. So now let's do some unit testing on the local testnet. This is happening locally. The unit test can be launched in various ways. One of them is using the tasks menu. Select the unit test as an option. And now the unit test, you can see it's running. That's where the rubber hits the road. The unit test is finished. You can see everything is fine. Let's take a look at what the VSC can do. The contract source file can be thoroughly inspected in terms of dependencies, including things like declarations and class definitions. It's really cool, we think. You know, it lets you dig deep if you need to. Okay, let's go back to the Kyln testnet. We can easily access the same project we just played in with VSC. Let's just switch to its directory and run the unit test again. This time using the command line. And also this is not on a local testnet as we did before, but on the Kyln testnet, which makes all the difference. And as you can see, we're using the same, we're using the configuration alias that we created before. Now the unit test is launched. This time it's deploying the contract on the public testnet, creating several accounts and firing up the actions using those accounts. And now the test is finished, there are no errors, and EOSFactory gives you stats regarding the resource usage split across different accounts involved. So this is really cool. You can see how much RAM and CPU and everything got used. You can see the logger traces of actions being pushed to the contract and the content of the contracts table. All these things are very important. Here you can see how EOSFactory maps the human readable account names to the actual EOS account names. And also when you go to the block explorer, you can see the actions that have been pushed to the testnet. So they're over here. Yeah, you can check this account on the Kyln Explorer and see the actions triggered. So here's the landing page for all the tutorials and everything you're ever going to need. All these things are explained in much greater depth. All the use cases, all the intricacies of interacting with testnets and how to do this. And also there's a Telegram support group that is linked underneath this video also, that we can answer all your questions there promptly. And hope to hear from you. Any kind of feedback that you might have is very welcome as usual. And thanks very much for listening, and all the best. And also see you at the London Hackathon coming up soon. We'll be there just supporting EOS in every way possible. So once again, best of luck from Tucanica. If you like what we do, you can support us by voting Tucanica for EOS. And thanks very much for listening. Take care and goodbye.